Hello students, welcome to this Frames 5 video tutorial on Sports Part 8. Please open your Sports file from Frames 5 from your application screen. Alright, if you remember in the previous tutorial, what we did was we animated this injury or this bump to the head that this villain sustained when he got hit with a baseball. So we're just going to conclude this tutorial and this massive project. Alright, make sure you're on the final frame. And then let's duplicate the frame. Okay, make sure nothing is selected. Let's duplicate. Okay. From the Tools panel on the right-hand side of the screen, click on the Text tool. All right, so let's double-click in the Text tool. And we're going to type in something that reminds me of old-style cartoons when a villain or a character that we didn't really like got hit. In a cartoon, we don't want to make it very violent, so we always want to add that humor or that comedy. So the villain often said this line when he got hit. He always said this, "I'm feeling mighty low," and then he collapsed or fainted or passed out. So I want you to type that, "I'm feeling mighty low." And then I want you to highlight it. I want you to use the same font that you've used in the previous tutorials on this project file, and we're going to bold it. Okay, let's add that speech bubble again. So let's click on Bubble, and let's click on Edit. And this time, how about a thought bubble instead of a speech bubble? A thought bubble here. Okay. What we can do is we can grab the tail and move it more towards the direction we want. And then maybe will it allow us to, no. So what happens is if we push the thought bubble too small, then the font gets smaller, but that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it up here, right? Because the thought bubble comes from a character's brain, not the character's mouth. And again, what we can do is we can adjust the position here. Okay, so how does that look? That looks pretty funny. All right, so again, because it's text, we need to allow the audience to read this. So let's change the duration back to 2 seconds and hit enter. All right, let's deselect and duplicate. Now, we've duplicated the frame. We're on the final frame, and let's change this back to 0.2 seconds, the duration, back to 0.2 seconds. We want to get rid of the speech bubble or the thought bubble, sorry. So click on it and hit delete. Now, what we want to do is we want to highlight the entire villain here. So I'm going to start off the frame and I'm going to create a rectangle around the villain, his bump, and those two eyes that we created to show that he was feeling pretty dizzy or almost ready to be knocked out. So you've highlighted everything, and then we want to create a group out of it. So now the villain, the bump, and his eyes are now part of one clip art. Okay? All right, let's duplicate the frame. So what we want to do is we want to show that the villain is going to be knocked unconscious. So we might want to turn on the onion skin. So let's go up to View and turn on the onion skin, just so that I can see the previous position of the villain. All right, deselect and duplicate. Deselect, make sure you move him the consistent distance downwards. Deselect and duplicate. And keep going. Okay, deselect and duplicate. If you want to show that he's falling faster and faster, then move him a little bit more distance every time. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where you can no longer move him down. So what you might want to try is you might want to try using this square control point and seeing if you can push him down even further. Okay, deselect and duplicate. Click on the villain and use this control point here and continue to push him downwards. Hopefully it will still work. Deselect and duplicate, click on the villain, use the control point, push him down, deselect and duplicate, do the same thing, use that control point. Okay. Notice how, remember this clip art was very big. It had the villain's entire body, but almost 90% of it now is completely off the frame. So let's deselect and duplicate. Click on the villain, use that control point. Is it still going to work? Yes. Deselect and duplicate. Click on the villain, use that control point. I've almost got him off of the frame now. Continue the process until you've got him off of the frame. Got a couple more to go. And I'm almost there. So I'm going to deselect and duplicate. And I'm just going to show the tip of his cloak, his head, at the top there. Sorry, at the bottom. And then I'm going to deselect and duplicate. Then I want to click on the villain and just hit delete. Okay. We're going to add one more humorous element here. So let's go back to the library. Let's click on the library panel. And we want to go to home. We want to click on clip art. We want to click on cartoon. And we're looking for another visual sound effect to kind of illustrate him hitting the ground. So how about this? Splat. So let's click on splat. You can use one or the other, it doesn't matter. And let's click on the green arrow. Okay, now I wonder if we can change the color of that. Because we have a green background, let's go back to Tools. And it doesn't look like we can change the color of it. That's too bad. Okay, that's okay. What I'll do is I'll place it towards the bottom and I'll increase it here, increase the size. Okay, so that splat, even though we don't see the villain hit the ground, that splat is supposed to show that he has hit the ground. Okay, so let's change the duration. So let's change it to 2 seconds. Okay, so let's turn off the onion skin. Let's go to View, and let's turn off the onion skin. Okay, so let's watch the whole thing. So let's go all the way back to frame 1 that you started all the way back in tutorial 1. And let's hit play. Now we get to watch the entire movie. Pretty funny. Okay, so let's hit save. So this concludes this animation project on sports. Please save your work and call Mr. Ueda over to show him your completed animation. Thanks for watching and good job. Bye.